Look up at the night sky, and the first thing you notice is not what is there, but what is missing. If the universe is filled with stars, stretching in every direction for billions of light years, then the darkness itself becomes a kind of question. It is a quiet, empty space where you expect light to be. Most people assume the answer is simple. The stars are far away. Their light fades. Space swallows it. But this explanation feels too small for a universe this large. If stars truly fill the cosmos without end, then no matter where you look, your line of sight should eventually land on a glowing surface. The sky should shine like the inside of a star, bright in every direction, leaving no room for night at all. This is where the contradiction begins. The darkness above you is not just an absence, it is evidence. Imagine standing in a dense forest. If trees stretch endlessly in every direction, you should never see the sky. Your view should always end on bark and leaves. The only way you glimpse open space is if the forest has edges, gaps, or a limit to how far it extends. The night sky is like that gap. It is the place where your vision keeps going, but the light does not return. Feynman loved these moments, where a simple question opens into something much larger. The kind of question that sounds almost childish, but quietly carries the weight of the entire universe inside it. Why is it dark? Not what is shining, but why so much of what should be shining never reaches you. Light does not vanish without a reason. It travels, it moves, it carries stories from where it was born to wherever it finally arrives. Every star you see is a message that has crossed space and time to find you. And every patch of darkness is a story that never made it. This turns the sky into a kind of map. Bright points mark places where the universe has managed to speak. Dark spaces mark places where its voice has not yet arrived, or perhaps never will. Suddenly, the question is no longer about stars. It is about time, about distance, about how far the universe has had to tell its own story. The darkness above you is not the universe hiding itself. It is the universe, mid-sentence. And as you begin to follow that unfinished sentence, the quiet night sky starts to feel less like an empty ceiling and more like a window into something still in the process of becoming, still expanding, still sending its light outward into a future that has not yet had time to see it. To follow that unfinished sentence, you have to step away from the idea that the universe is a finished place, already written from beginning to end. Instead, imagine it as a story still being told, page by page, moment by moment, with light as the ink that carries each new line forward. Every beam you see began its journey at a specific time, in a specific place. When it finally reaches your eyes, you are not witnessing a star as it is. You are witnessing a star as it was. The sky becomes a layered archive, where nearby objects speak in recent memories and distant galaxies whisper from a past so old it borders on the birth of everything. This is why distance in space becomes distance in time. To look farther out is to look farther back. The darkness is not empty because nothing exists there. It is empty because the light from those places has not yet had enough time to arrive. But this alone is not enough to solve the mystery. Even in a young universe, light should eventually fill every direction. If stars have been shining for billions of years, why hasn't their glow piled up into a permanent brightness by now? Here, the story takes a turn. The universe is not just expanding, it is stretching the very space that light must cross. Imagine writing a message on a rubber band and then pulling it apart. The words do not disappear, but the distance between every letter grows. Light behaves the same way. As it travels, the space beneath it lengthens, thinning its energy, shifting its color, turning once bright signals into faint whispers. Some light is stretched so much that it slips beyond what your eyes can ever see. It does not vanish. It changes form, sliding into realms of heat and radio waves, becoming part of a silent background that fills the cosmos. And there is a deeper limit still. There are regions of the universe moving away from you faster than their light can ever reach you. Not because they are breaking a rule, but because the space between you and them is growing too quickly. Their stories are being carried outward, but the page you are standing on is receding just as fast. This creates a horizon, not of space, but of possibility. A boundary that marks the edge of what you can ever know, no matter how long you wait. Within that boundary, the universe speaks in stars, galaxies, and glowing clouds of gas. Beyond it, there may be more light, more worlds, more histories unfolding in silence. The night sky is not dark because the universe is empty. It is dark because the universe is still writing, and not every chapter has had time to reach you yet. When you follow the story far enough back, you reach a time before there were any stars at all, a time when the universe itself was the light. Everything that exists today was packed into a state so hot and dense that space and energy were inseparable, like a single glowing ocean with no shores. In those earliest moments, light could not travel freely. The universe was thick with charged particles, and every photon was immediately scattered, bounced, and absorbed. There was no clear path, no open sky, no direction that led anywhere. The cosmos was bright, but it was also blind. Then, as the universe expanded and cooled, something quietly changed. Atoms began to form. Electrons found places to settle. Space became transparent. For the first time, light was released to move on its own, no longer trapped in the constant collisions of the early fire. That ancient light is still traveling today. It fills the universe as a faint, uniform glow, coming from every direction at once. You cannot see it with your eyes, but your instruments can. It is the after-image of creation itself, a whisper from a time when the universe was only a few 100,000 years old. This is where the night sky becomes more than a collection of stars. It becomes a time machine. Every dark patch between the points of light is filled with that ancient background, stretched and cooled by billions of years of expansion. The darkness you see is layered on top of a deeper, older brightness that surrounds you on all sides. Feynman loved the idea that the universe leaves behind clues like this, not hidden in equations alone, but written across the sky in signals anyone can point a detector toward and read. The cosmos is not just out there. It is still speaking to you, even now, in a language of light that began long before Earth existed. And this brings the mystery closer to home. The atoms in your body were forged in stars that shone long after that first light was released. You are made from a later chapter of the same story, built from matter that only became possible because the universe cooled enough for complexity to form. The night sky holds both ends of that timeline at once. The oldest light you can ever receive, and the younger lights of stars that shape the elements you are made of share the same view above your head. Darkness, then, is not a sign of absence. It is the space between beginnings and continuations, between a universe just learning how to glow and a universe still, even now, learning how to become something that can look back at itself and ask where all that light went. Once you realize the sky holds both the universe's first light and its later stars at the same time, the idea of now begins to feel less solid. The present moment stretches across distances so vast that what you call a single night is actually a collage of many different ages layered together in your view. This is where the hidden rule of light quietly shapes everything you can know. No matter how powerful your telescope becomes, it cannot show you the universe as it truly is at this exact instant. It can only show you the universe as it was, at the moment each signal began its journey toward you. Imagine standing in a long hallway lined with doors. Each door opens into a different year. Nearby doors reveal scenes from just moments ago. Farther down the corridor, the rooms grow older and older, until at the very end, the door opens onto the earliest memories the universe can still remember. The night sky is that hallway, and every point of light is a doorway into a different time. But the corridor does not stretch forever. There is a final door, a last place where light was ever free to begin its journey. Beyond that, there are no rooms to open, no images to see, not because nothing exists there, but because no signal has ever had the chance to reach you. This turns observation into something strangely personal. The universe you experience is not the entire universe. It is the part that has managed to connect with you across time and space. Your reality is built from messages that survived the long crossing, filtered by distance, expansion, and the quiet speed limit that governs all communication. Even the idea of simultaneity begins to fade. Two events that feel now to you may not be now to each other. Each has its own present, its own slice of time, defined by how light moves between them. The universe does not share a single universal moment. It shares a web of moments, stitched together by signals that travel at a finite pace. Feynman often pointed out that the deepest truths of physics do not just change what you know. They change how you think about knowing itself. Here, knowledge becomes something you receive, not something you can instantly possess. It arrives like light, on its own schedule. The night sky becomes a reminder of this quiet humility. You stand in the middle of a vast conversation that began long before you were born and will continue long after you are gone. You hear only the parts that have had time to reach you. And in that limited, delayed, and beautifully incomplete picture, you find something unexpected. The darkness is not a failure of the universe to shine. It is the universe giving you a boundary, a frame, a way to see just enough of the story to recognize that it is far larger, older, and more alive than anything you could ever fully hold in a single moment of sight. As the frame of what you can see becomes clear, the universe starts to feel less like a distant stage and more like a place you are actively inside. The light that reaches you is not just information about faraway stars. It is a thread that connects your present moment to events that happened long before you ever existed. Every photon that touches your eyes has survived a journey through expanding space, drifting past clouds of gas, fields of gravity, and the quiet stretching of time itself. By the time it arrives, it carries a story shaped by everything it encountered along the way. You do not just see a star, you see the path between you and it. This is why the night sky feels both vast and intimate at the same time. The same rule that limits how far light can travel also defines how far your influence can reach. Your voice, your signals, your actions all spread outward at their own pace, forming a growing sphere of impact that expands through the world and into space. In this sense, every life becomes a kind of lighthouse, not in brightness, but in reach. Each moment you live sends ripples forward, carried by sound, by light, by the physical traces you leave behind. Most of those ripples fade close to where they began. A few travel far, touching places and people you will never meet. The universe does the same thing on a cosmic scale. Stars ignite, galaxies collide, black holes merge, and each event sends out waves of influence that move through the fabric of space. Some of those waves will cross entire clusters of galaxies. Others will dissolve into the quiet background of the cosmos, becoming part of the deep, almost invisible hum that fills everything. Seen this way, darkness is not just the absence of light. It is the space where influence has not yet arrived. It is the pause between an event and its echo, the waiting room where the universe's next message is still on its way. This gives the night sky a strange kind of tension. Every dark patch is not empty. It is a promise, a place where something may eventually appear if given enough time and the right conditions. Feynman often spoke about the joy of realizing that the world is more interesting than you ever expected. Here, that joy comes from understanding that you are not just watching the universe. You are part of its network of signals, part of its chain of cause and effect. The stars send their light to you. You send your actions forward into the future. Between those two flows, past and future meet in a single fragile present that exists only because information can travel, but never instantly, and never without leaving a trail behind. In that trail, written across space and time, is the quiet proof that even in a universe filled with darkness, connection is always moving, always spreading, always trying to reach something new. And when you finally step back from the sky, something subtle shifts. The question is no longer just where the light went. It becomes why you are here to notice that it ever existed at all. The universe did not set out to create eyes or minds or curiosity. It began with expansion, cooling, and simple rules that did not care what would eventually rise inside them. Yet from those rules came stars. From stars came atoms. From atoms came chemistry. And from chemistry came a planet that learned how to look up and wonder. In that chain, the darkness of the sky plays a quiet role. It allows contrast. It allows memory. It allows the faintest signals to stand out against a backdrop that is not already filled with endless glare. Without night, the universe would be a blinding wall. With night, it becomes a story you can read. Every civilization that has ever existed has looked at the same dark canvas and placed its own meaning among the lights. Myths, maps, calendars, and questions all grew from the simple act of tracing patterns in the glow and the gaps between it. Long before telescopes and equations, the sky was already teaching humans how to think beyond the ground beneath their feet. Feynman believed that understanding does not take away the beauty of the world, it deepens it. To know that the darkness above you is not empty, but layered with ancient light, stretched signals, and unreachable horizons, is to realize that you are standing inside a much larger story than any single lifetime can contain. The stars you see tonight may already be gone. The light you receive tomorrow may come from a place that will one day slip beyond your horizon. And the actions you take now will travel forward into a future you will never witness, carried by the same quiet limits that shape the sky. In that sense, you and the universe are doing the same thing. Both of you are sending messages forward, hoping they will arrive somewhere meaningful. The night remains dark not because the universe has run out of light. It remains dark because it is still in the process of becoming something that can be seen, remembered, and understood. And for a brief moment, on a small world orbiting an ordinary star, you are part of that process. You are one of the places where the universe has learned how to look back at itself and ask with genuine wonder where all the light has gone.